Okay, so, all right, so let's see. Welcome everyone. This is day 4 of our employment planning workshop. Today, we're going to continue working on the interview process. So what did we learn yesterday? What did we learn yesterday?
We learned EES.
Okay. We learned the 5 P.
Performing your skills. C.
Yes.
When you ask the question, tell me a
We
little
learned 555.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that.
The rubrics.
We're going to talk about that today. What did we learn yesterday?
Proper planning for transport performance.
What else?
C. EES.
Okay. So what does ES stand for?
skills.
Well, the
I wrote
EES.
it down somewhere.
Education, employment skills.
Yep.
Okay, so education. So what is the point of, when do you use that?
When he asks you, the first question, tell me about yourself.
Okay.
Right.
Try to answer the question that's relevant to the position in the company that you're going to work for.
Yeah.
The first 5 seconds is important because they form their opinion of you, see if they like you.
Because of likability.
Okay.
They need like
The
So,
relevance to the job.
What's the question that we're answering?
Tell me about yourself.
Tell me about yourself. Does anybody think they're going to get that question?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
time. All the time.
In
Right.
some form or another.
So what would you, before watching the video yesterday, what would you say? They said, tell me about yourself.
You might say some of your hobbies.
Ray.
Oh, sorry.
Ray. Tell me about yourself. Good job. Keith,
He got nervous.
tell me about yourself. This is just, this is not the call, right? Decline?
No, I just have to hang out on there quick and it works. Let me just redo it. Okay.
Okay, Keith, tell me about yourself.
Okay, I'm currently enrolled at the Larson Training Center. I'm studying Google Apps and cloud computing, along with Microsoft Word and Microsoft Document. I've been employed at Nationwide Funding as a purchase agent. Been employed at loanstripper.com as a loan agent. I also worked at Shimano American as a shipping and receiving clerk, JCPenney distribution as a warehouse and forklift operator. I have great communication skills. I have a strong work ethic. And
Okay, that's a good start. Now, okay, so let's see. How about you, Horace? Tell me about yourself.
Can I ask you a question though, real quick before we go there? Because this happened to me before in an interview, whereas they asked me, "Tell me about yourself," and I asked them, like, "Well, what do you want to know?
Okay,
You want
so
personal,
that's
or
the
you want
wrong
work
answer.
related?"
Okay. So what did we learn yesterday? They don't care about personal. If he wants to know about personal, they'll ask a question about personal. So the lesson to learn from Horace's question is if they say, tell me about yourself, think in terms of they want to know what is it about you that we should care about. Okay? And the only thing, well, I can't really think of any reason to start with the personal. Okay. Okay, so if I was pressed to think about something, if you're going on a job that was to explore Antarctica, this was Ernest Shackleton interviewing people for Antarctica, and it said, tell me about yourself. You might start with, I've been on an expedition to the North Pole. Okay. But it's, yeah, it's highly unlikely that you're going to be in that situation. Yes, yes.
That interview I had at 7-Eleven the other day, the first question, maybe the second question, yeah. So tell me about your personal life. Do you have a problem with drugs or alcohol?
Okay. So that comes back to a question that relates to their business,
Yeah.
right? He's still asking about their business, but probably because it's not that hard to be a clerk, right? It's not that hard to do the job, but it could be very bad if you have personal issues.
But they've had former employees that
Okay, so expect to tell me about yourself, and the answer has to be relative to what they care about for work,
I know the mod system and how it works.
okay? So, and then the E stands for what?
Huh?
E, education.
Education.
Now, I don't think it's a bad idea to start with saying, well, my education is. And then you say your education. My employment experience is, and then you talk about your employment experience, and the skills I have are. I don't think that's bad because it gives people a roadmap and they can see you have a structured answer. So I don't think that's bad. But a lot of it still depends upon, is the person that is doing the interview, are they in a good mood? You know, what's their story? So the best way to think about it when you walk into an interview is to picture that you're walking in with an invisible toolbox. Okay, you're carrying this toolbox along. What do you have in your toolbox? What might you have? Horace.
Well,
That's one item
computer knowledge.
in your toolbox. This is a
Hammer.
box of tools.
Hammer.
Hammer. Okay, what else?
you have a tool or a skill that will
What is in your toolbox?
A
Your imaginary screwdriver.
Oh, the toolbox.
You don't know what's in your toolbox?
No, I don't even know.
Tape measure, wrenches, ruler.
a chef knife.
No,
Socket set.
Yeah,
that's not going to be in a toolbox. That might be in a chef or a knife bag. Yeah.
Nails.
Okay, what else is in your toolbox?
Nails.
Sockets,
Nail.
nails,
That little thing where you
Screws.
put it to make sure it's
Leveler.
level.
Leveler.
okay, level,
Measuring tape.
okay, measuring tape. Okay, there's a bunch of stuff you can have in your toolbox, right? Now, what if the only tool you have is a hammer?
Sell that hammer.
You're limited.
Everything's a nail.
Right. Everything is going to look like a nail. Every problem will look like a nail.
Oh.
So now if we get lucky, fast forward, if we get lucky, on October 13th, Nolan Bushnell will be in this room. Who's that?
Scott started Atari.
Right. Guy started Atari, invented Pong, Chuck E. Cheese.
Brain Rush.
Right. We're scheduling a meeting with him on the 13th because of Brain Rush. So he's going to be in Las Vegas giving a speech. We're trying to get him to stop by here.
So that'd be great.
So, and he did say one time, that's where I heard it, was from him saying, if your only tool is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. Okay, so imagine you're walking in, you have a imaginary toolbox. When you get with your, is this live?
Yeah.
Link. Okay. So,
Sending it to them in California.
okay, good. Clever. See, we're going to miss Ron. Now I know why we're going to miss it.
Maybe you don't have to go.
So,
Let's get
so why do you have this imaginary toolbox with you? Huh? For what? Okay, so it's for work, for the interview. You're walking into the interview and you're trying to build something. So you're trying to build something that gets you the job, some kind of bridge from unemployed to employed there. Or you're trying to break down a barrier to get to the job. You don't know.
Right.
Okay? You don't know what's on the other side of the door when you walk in, that interviewer's office. So you have to be prepared. If all you are is prepared for a scripted speech and the guy doesn't ask you, so tell me about yourself, and you're way, okay, I know the first question is going to be tell me about yourself. You could have a Zoolander moment, right? What happened in Zoolander? Bueller. What happened in Zoolander?
Bueller.
Are you talking about the movie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
No.
Oh my gosh.
I don't
I
remember.
didn't see it.
they called up the winner of the male model of the year. And they
Right.
said somebody else's name, and he ran up on stage
Uh,
because he was so sure he was going to win.
Oh, shoot.
And he gave the acceptance speech. And everybody's standing around stunned of, what do we do now? Okay, so if you have one approach planned and you go in and they don't go according to the script you have set, what's going to happen?
I'm gonna mess you up.
We're gonna be stuck. We'll get lost of words.
Yeah, you're not going to do as well as you should have,
You'll drop the
or as you
ball.
could have. And if somebody else doesn't drop the ball, well,
Get the job.
they're going to get the job. So I used to give the metaphor in terms of playing golf. How many people played golf in here?
We golf.
Miniature golf.
Some.
We golf.
Okay.
I played on weeds.
That's okay.
So in golf, golf has a very simple strategy. The object in golf is to get the ball in the hole, right? Okay, in the fewest number of strokes, right? The best strategy, the strategy in golf, how you do that is to use the right club on every shot. Okay, but if you only know how to use one club, you're not really going to be that good. So I used to give the metaphor of you have to be able to use all of the clubs in your bag or some of the clubs in your bag. You're not going to do well if you're using your putter on every shot, right?
Real tough, yeah.
Or you're using your driver, or you're using your sand wedge, you're using almost any club, you're not going to do well. Now, some clubs you might be able to, if you're really good and you know how to use a 6-iron, maybe you're going to do very poorly. But too many people don't play golf, so they don't know what that means. So we talked about having a toolbox and having the right tool. And so the tools are the different things that you can do. Just like you use a screwdriver for this, you use a hammer for that, you use a tape measure for this, you use a level for that, right? So, so that's what you need to be thinking of before you go into the interview. Not just, okay, I have one thought. And so some of the things that you can be thinking of are, what if the guy is in a good mood? What if he's in a bad mood? What if he is articulate and smart? What if he's not? What if he grew up where I grew up? Would that be a good thing?
Lovely.
Well, not necessarily, but it could be. It could be good, but it's not always good. It could be bad. Oh, okay. So, so these are the things you need to know. Don't go into the interview thinking they're in 100% control. Because what did we learn this morning from Marcus Aurelius? What are you in control of?
Control of yourself.
Yeah, you're in control of yourself, your attitude, your
emotions.
behavior, your emotions, what you know.
And the thing is, you're not in control of. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about them. But what you want to try to do is be in control of the interview. Now, that doesn't mean to be argumentative. That doesn't mean to tell the guy, interrupt him, and do stuff like that. But it means to be,
Confident.
well, you want to be that too. But being in control means you're helping direct the conversation.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to they ask you a question, you answer, and they ask you a question to clarify your answer. Okay, that's probably not good, unless you intentionally wanted to suck them in to something. Okay, like if you're going to tell them a joke, right?
Right.
You don't start with the punchline.
And you shouldn't tell jokes during the interview.
Well, it depends.
Well, you got to feed off their.
Probably not.
It's a job as a comic.
Probably
Yeah.
not.
That you probably have to.
Well, as a normal job, probably you don't. But there are some circumstances where you do, and some circumstances where you really don't want to. And you have to assess that by the person you're dealing with, and you have to assess it right away. Okay, that first 5 seconds is for what?
See if they like you.
Tell them what you really think of the guy.
The first 5 seconds is nonverbal.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
because
all
when-
that 55 seconds of judging the book, as Isis said yesterday.
And they make a decision about
First
you until you
impression.
change otherwise.
Right. It's hard. Okay, so you can get people to change their opinion, but why put yourself in that position?
That's working too hard.
Okay, that's like you put a gun in your mouth, and then you got to decide not to pull the trigger. Why
Right.
put the gun in your mouth? Why put yourself in a bad position? So, and that first 5 seconds, you want to be as positive as you can. And Tony Robbins would say to use incantations. What would Amy Cuddy say? Amy Cuddy. Amy Cuddy. Rob,
Amy Cuddy.
what would Amy Cuddy say to do
About what?
before you go into the interview?
She would say it's power pose.
Power pose, right. Power pose. So
That's what he did.
I don't think anybody in here has seen the TED Talk on that.
Yes,
Right.
I did.
No, I
Okay.
thought you were talking about
I
the
remember that, yes.
when he was talking about.
So here's a fact that how your body is affects how your brain is. And hormones and other chemicals that are released in your brain results from your body, and vice versa. Your brain releases chemicals and your body releases chemicals. So a Harvard professor who we're going to see named Amy Cuddy, TED Talk, did a study about how people's body language affects how they perform. And so they brought people into a room, they gave them a swab test to test what their testosterone levels was and what their, not oxytocin,
Is it C?
Start with the C.
yeah,
Cortisol.
cortisol, what their cortisol levels were. And then when they got into the interview, is after it was over to test them again to see what happened. And she noticed that being in a stressful situation does certain things. So your testosterone goes up maybe, and your cortisol might go up. So what you want is you want your testosterone to go up because then everything is working faster. Okay? You can make decisions faster, you're doing things faster. But your cortisol has to stress. You want to have high testosterone and high stress. So they tested people and then they said, okay, well, let's do this. Let's have them do certain posing for 2 minutes before they go into the interview. So we're going to test them. We're going to have them do this power posing and we're going to test them again. And what she found is if you do these power poses, your testosterone goes up and your cortisol goes down. So you feel less stress, but you're more alert, more able to react. And they found that these power posing things had to be true because blind people do it when they're successful also. And they've been blind since birth. So they don't know about these power posing things. So that is that power pose
Right there. What do you
that she's talking about. So like when you win, I don't remember if it's called victory or something like that, but if you see people win a race and they do this,
Oh, I was really just stretching.
I know you. See, I set it up so that you would do that. I wanted to get boring and have you tired, so you need to wake yourself up. So she saw this victory sign or something. I don't remember what it's called, but this that people do when they win events and races. What she found is blind people also do that. People who've been blind and don't know that that's what other people do. So that was kind of aha. They're doing it because there's certain chemicals in their body that makes them feel good, like testosterone. And so she came up with the high power poses and then low power poses. So the good ones are ones that make you look big. The bad ones are ones that make you look small. And especially if you're doing things where this is like a protective thing. You're protecting your neck. And so her advice is, before you go into your interview, go into the restroom and for 2 minutes, you just power pose. Now, what never fails to happen here is you watch the video.
Somebody come walking in?
No, we watch the video. And I say, okay, who's going to be power posing every day? And everybody says, oh, I'm going to do it because, wow, that's really compelling. It's very persuasive. I'm going to do it. And 2 weeks later, nobody's doing it again. That wouldn't be a great power pose. No, see, when you have your arms crossed, you're making yourself smaller.
Okay, what about this?
Exactly. That's one of them.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Feet up on desk.
Your legs freeze.
Like this.
Yeah.
Feet up on desk is another one. Okay? Makes you look bigger. Smaller, well, the thing is, why does it make you feel more comfortable?
You're relaxed.
Because you're
Is it because it's releasing testosterone?
Yes, possibly.
Okay. You know, it's probably not the case that if you have testosterone flowing through your body that you're going to be doing this. You're going to be getting smaller. It's probably not the case. In fact, that's Amy Cuddy's thing. So her thing is fake it till you become it. Not fake it till you make it, but fake it till you become it. So she's an advocate of if you just go in and you do power posing for 2 minutes before your interview, your testosterone will go up, your cortisol will go down, you will perform better in the interview. And then she says, what do most people do when they're sitting in the lobby waiting to be called for the interview? And think about that video, look at Dave right now, they're doing this, they're getting small.
Nervous.
Okay? Right. Cortisol is going up. They're feeling more stress. And her thing is, what you'll get out of that is, if you find yourself doing that, stop. No matter where you are. Stop doing that because you're creating a certain type of behavior that you then begin doing, not even knowing you're doing it. It becomes what? Habit, right. It becomes a habit. So what she advocates is form habits that are good. Even though other people might think, you know, sitting in a chair like this is a little bit over the top, right?
That's why she says go in the restroom.
That's why she says go in the restroom to practice. Yeah, because if you're doing this in the lobby, dancing around. 5 seconds are totally non-verbal. I know we went through it yesterday, but this is the key. If you don't do well in the first 5 seconds, so it might not be over, but you're needlessly having to recover from something. So in your books, take out in your books,
Important thought.
yeah, important thought, but we had a poster on it. I'm looking for the poster. Oh, it's the one there in the middle. Does anybody know what that one says? Besides start, end? Has anybody ever noticed that poster?
I have.
Yeah, but you can't really see the words.
Well, you have to be close to it. Okay, the way things start is the way they tend to end. Oh, if it starts badly, it tends to end badly. That's why this first 5 seconds, even though it's 5 seconds and something that could be a half-hour interview, right? That first 5 seconds is the most important. And Isis, who doesn't even know this stuff except from her experience, said yesterday, and all the things she could have said, one of the things she did say was, you're a book, and people judge books by their covers.
Well, you know what's so crazy about her, man? I thought you prepped her or something. The stuff she was saying, I'm like, she sounded like she's been through this class. I said the director must have prepped her up.
No, it's the opposite. Well, she didn't prep me, but it's the same common pool of things that work. So the first 5 seconds is vital, crucial. There's no reason to blow it. It's only 5 seconds. You know, what they say in yoga is anybody can do something for a minute. as you're doing these very painful, very difficult poses. But you can do anything for 5 seconds. What is Einstein, how did Einstein describe his theory of relativity to people who didn't know, to non-technical people?
Energy cannot be
No.
preserved, right?
No. To a layman, to people just like a group of housewives or guys sitting around a bar. So Einstein said time is relative. And the theory of relativity, as explained by Einstein, was if you put your hand on a hot stove for 5 seconds, it seems like it's an hour,
That's for sure.
right? But if you put your hands on a hot woman for 5 seconds, it seems like no time at all.
Yeah, it's over
Okay.
for it, yes.
Okay, so 5 seconds is very short, but a lot of stuff is happening in that 5 seconds. So don't underestimate it. Don't take it for granted. That is the thing that will help you gain the initiative in this spy versus spy thing. The next 50 seconds is when the conversation starts happening. Hi, how are you? And this is your opportunity to make them think, oh, I might like this guy. Okay, this is as they had in this video we just watched. That's the time where you let them look at you. And so you're not eyeballing them. You know, you're thinking something I always do is I try to find a compliment, like, hey, nice office. You know, or hey, that's a cool plant. You know, something genuine, sincere. Yeah.
Right before the interview starts?
No.
As I walk in, say, hi, my name is Ed. Nice to meet you. Very glad to be here. This is a really nice office, or you know, just something positive.
Okay, so now you speak about stretching.
Well, we passed that. That was 3 minutes.
Now I'm relating it to when you go in, you first go in for an interview, when you shake the man's hand.
Yeah.
So if you come in and do a little
No.
right to make yourself, that's not gonna work, right?
No, you don't. You do your power posing before. Because
But while you're in there, you don't do it.
correct, you don't do it. But what you don't, okay. So good question. You don't do your power posing while you're in the interview, but you certainly don't take low power positions.
Okay, so I
You
do
don't-
like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know, sit up. So you want to make yourself big, but not too big.
Posture. Make sure your posture is
Right.
correct.
Right. Yeah. You want them to like you. Yeah. So should you smile?
Yes.
Yeah. Because people like people who smile. Not like that.
I know.
Not like the mask.
So they,
Correct. Likable. Likable. Well, yes.
What was the and what does the next 50 seconds need to be?
conversation.
Well, we're talking about that. It's not the next 50 seconds. It's the first 50 seconds after
Okay.
the first 5 seconds.
Right. So
Yeah,
this,
well, what do they need
this
to
is
be?
all the.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right. Show us right now.
Okay, what do you think I'm
Thank you,
talking
Director.
about? Okay. So in this time, this is when the verbal stuff's happening. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. And then I suggest, again, it depends upon the mood of the person you're dealing with. But if you have the opportunity, pay them a sincere compliment about something in their room, their office. If they're really professional, there's going to be probably nothing in there that you can comment on. They don't want any distractions. They want to have control. They're not going to want that. So you might have to say, you know, that lobby's great, or, you know, I got employed. You know, nice to meet you today. Started out great. Found a parking spot right in front. Everybody likes that. Okay, I mean that's something. Everybody who drives to work has to park their car unless you have an assigned parking place. There's always that, where do I park today? Did somebody take my favorite spot? So what you're doing here is you're trying to create the foundation where they say, huh, I might like this person. You haven't talked about anything at all about the interview. There's no, in that first 50 seconds, they're not going to say, tell me about yourself. So you're walking in the room, you shake hands, you're sitting down, you're just a little bit of chit-chat. 50 seconds goes really fast.
This is the first minute of 5:55. It's the first minute. Right?
The first 50 seconds. Okay, because probably within the first minute, the first question is asked. Okay, but also 5:55 is easier to remember than 5:59, 4:59, 82. Now, the next 5 minutes is really where it's going to happen. So like we talked about today and yesterday, if they ask you a question, answer the question. Don't talk, don't repeat the question, because that's annoying. What freeway did you take today? What freeway did I take today? And then you tell them what freeway you took today. It's not, real people don't do that. Unless it's a highly technical question, which you're not going to get in the first 5 minutes.
So what if there's like a picture of, say, their kid on their desk? Would
That
you
might be too
compliment
personal.
something like that?
Probably
or?
not.
Okay.
Not in the first 50 seconds. But I might later, or I might say, oh, okay.
Beautiful kids.
No, I would say to myself, 10-year-old kid. He's got a 10-year-old kid. Then I might say something about my 10-year-old kid or my 11-year-old kid or something that now, because I now have something in common with the person. People like people that are like themselves, right? We don't trust people who are different from us because we don't know what's going on. It's not that we distrust. We just can't really trust people that we don't know. Right? We can give them the benefit of the doubt. We can act like we trust them. But you can't trust something that you don't know. So the first 5 minutes is where the questioning stuff is happening. And you want to make it as easy for the interviewer as possible to know what they want to know. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Make it as easy for the interviewer to know what they want to know. So if you're repeating their question, or you're saying, well, hey, hold on, let me get this straight. I want to understand what you're asking me.
You're wasting time.
You're not making it easy for them to know what they want to know. Okay? If you're being evasive, are you making it easy? No, you're not making it easy. You're making it hard for them to know what they want to know. Huh?
So you make yourself suspect.
It's just, yeah, you might be doing that, but you're not making it easy for them. And the person who's going to get the job is probably the person who's most likable, who has the skills they're looking for, and is easy to work with. And, you know, don't kid yourself. If you're in a professional with an interviewer, that person is a professional. That's their job. They go on YouTube looking at the videos of how to interview people, not how to be interviewed, how to interview. They've got their materials they want to do because they want to get promoted by doing a good job interviewing people. Don't take them for granted. But now, like we said, if the person who's interviewing you is the person who's going to be your boss, what's the story there? Anybody remember from yesterday?
You got to get them to like you. You got to fit in.
Get them to like people, don't make them feel threatened.
Correct. Okay. So it's a little bit different if the interviewer is your boss, is going to be your boss, or the owner of the company thinking, do I want you working for me? That's different than if you're a professional interviewer. Professional interviewer has different motivations than the owner of the company or your boss. The boss is taking it much more personally. The interviewer is doing his job or her job. That's their job. If it's your company, it's a lot more than just your job. That's your life, your reputation, your expectations, your plans, your future. It's a whole lot more. If it's your boss, and let's say he's a chef, he's thinking, what you do affects my reputation, right? If it's a nice place. Huh?
Hell's Kitchen.
Hell's Kitchen. No, it's, what you do affects my reputation. So I'm putting my reputation in your hands. Do I trust you to do that? Or are you going to let me down when it gets tough?
I've had jobs where I made it to the chef, but I couldn't make it to the police. And the chef told me, you gotta get by them. And it was like 2 different departments.
It is 2 different departments. Okay. So in the first 5 minutes, these are all the things that you got to do. Now you can walk in there, like they say in law school, rudderless. Just let the current take you where it's going to take you. Or you can have a rudder and be steering yourself through this thing. Yeah.
Lately, I've seen where they have 2 interviewers. Why? What is the point of that, and how do you treat that in the 555?
Well, okay. So there's a lot of possible reasons for 2 interviewers. This person might be in training. You might be leaving, and this person is going to take over for you. Could be that, right? Probably, I would not expect that there's a good business reason that anybody in here would have 2 interviewers interviewing.
That happened recently, yeah. It was
So,
awful.
so did
I
they
made
tell
it
you
through
why
the
there are
first
2 people?
No, but it was a brand new company opening up. But I made it through the first interview great, and then the second one.
Oh, you're talking about multiple interviewers.
Yeah.
I thought you were
yeah.
talking about 2
No,
people
multiple interviewers.
Okay.
I think you know what I'm talking about.
at the same time.
At the same time, yeah. I mean, I went through
So
the
how can you say I made it through the first interview but not the second?
Well, because when I got to the second one, if I didn't go through the first one successfully,
But
right?
okay, so here's what I'm not clear on. You're sitting in a chair. Are there 2 people on the other
No,
side?
you get one interview
Okay.
and then a second interview,
So,
all at
okay.
the same.
So
you know,
let's
same
call that
interview.
2 interviews. Let's
Two
call that 2 interviews. Okay. Well, there are many reasons why there could be 2 interviews. Okay. You might, and they do it at Downtown Project. These people are interviewing you for this reason. This person is the people who are going to work with you. So it's like Mark was saying. But you know, typically it's going to be the opposite way around. First you interview with HR.
Right.
And then you get to the chef.
Right. And that's what I normally do is I find out the chef's name and I go introduce myself to him.
Okay.
He sends
So
me
he's
to
trying to
HR.
change the system,
Right.
which may or may not work.
Yeah, that depends.
That's why this is Larson, not Stanford, because we have people who try to change the system instead of working the system.
Right.
So it's not uncommon to have 2 interviews, and especially if the person who owns the business or the person who is the boss is going to be interviewing people. Because a professional interviewer says, the reason you want somebody like me is I'm unbiased. It's just my job. You're the owner of the company, or you're the supervisor, you're the manager, you're the guy I'm going to work for. You have your personal biases that you might like. You might put more importance on liking the person than their skills.
Okay.
Okay? But if you're just an objective, it's my job to interview, I just need to know the details.
Oh, okay.
So you're not going to
okay.
persuade me of something because
Gotcha.
it doesn't have any meaning to me.
Right, because the questions they asked were very different.
Okay. So let's say, for example, the guy who makes the ultimate decision is the chef. And let's say he's a Buffalo Bills fan. And you're a Buffalo Bills fan. Is that going to give you an advantage?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Should it? Probably not.
But it should, but it does.
Okay. What is do the customers care that you're a Buffalo Bills fan?
No, but we're going to be working next to each other and we may never talk about it.
No, but it really shouldn't care in terms of doing your job. It really should not care. That's not an important thing of liking you, right?
Well, I thought
You could be a Philadelphia Eagles diehard fan. He's a Buffalo Bill fan. You still have NFL teams that you really love in common.
Right.
Okay? And you still could say, yeah, we hate the 49ers. We agree on that.
What?
Okay? You could say that. Yeah, you could.
But with what?
Yes. Last question, because it's break time.
Okay. As far as so the main thing a company concerns about is whether you save them money or make them some money.
Not some money.
Okay, a lot of money.
Make them money.
How would you like to communicate that? Because
How?
in my past work experiences, I wasn't really analyzing my work performance or looking at my work performance on that basis.
Okay.
I
Well, because
was
you didn't know that.
showing up on time
you know.
Well, you didn't know that. At the end of the day, though, if you work for a small company, you work for an owner of a company, every dollar you make them is an extra dollar they put in their pocket. Okay? That's ultimately what they care about. Is how much money are they making? That's how you're ultimately judged. Or how much money can you save them? If you can't make them money or save them money, you're wasting time. So if they ask a question, why should we hire you? It's kind of like, tell me about yourself. Well, well, why do you think we should choose you? And the simple best answer, if you can say it confidently, is because I'm going to make you more money than anybody else. Don't say it like this, because I'm going to make you more money than anyone else. What does that mean?
Don't you have to back it up?
I'm going to make you more money than anyone else. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to do it. Okay, body language. Okay? So, or because I'm going to save you more money than anyone else. I'm going to save you money because we're not going to have accidents. We're not going to exceed customer expectations. Now, most people don't have the guts to do that, to make those statements. So guess what happens if you're the person who does? Who gets remembered?
You do. You get remembered.
You get remembered. Now, unless you say it like this, I'm going to make you more money.
It's not going to happen.
Or I'm going to make you more money. Man, that's not persuasive, right?
Confident.
You have to be confident. This is where that other 93% comes in. This is where Alaric is saying, in answer to the question, what do we get? You get to live. If they believe it when you say that, you win. Okay, that would not have worked against Julius Caesar. Okay, but that's what you have to do. Okay, so it's break time. California's on. Dennis, are you there?
The speakers aren't turned
There
on.
he is.
Yes, we're here, Ed. How are you today? We're here.
Yeah.
They're not plugged in.
There's no light on them?
No.
Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you, yes. This was a day of technical challenges. Sorry we weren't able to get it on. Did you hear any of this conversation?
We heard the whole conversation.
Okay, even the bad parts?
No, we blocked that out.
Okay, good. All right. So everybody in California, have a great weekend. We know this is your Friday.
Thank
and
you.
We'll pick it up on Monday, and I promise we'll have the system working right.
Okay, we'll see you. Thank you, Ed.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Okay,
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.